we're at this lady's like house. It's all set up and everything. And then she keeps telling me like, oh, like you guys should have a third. And I'm like, Madison, do you want to tell them that like I'm not your husband? These aren't my kids. And she got too embarrassed.
I got so embarrassed, you guys. I just kind of like, oh.
I got you, yeah, my crew. We alley you, yeah, alley you, yeah. 'Cause we do what we do. We alley you, yeah, alley you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pan and Unicorn, the relationship podcast, episode number 8.
Numero ocho. Madison's an actress.
What?
I love the intro. Very serious with the eyes.
Yeah.
If you don't see on YouTube.
All right, you guys, welcome back. So first off, make sure you guys are following us on all our social platforms, TikTok, Instagram,
Twitter.
Facebook. Oh yeah, we're on Twitter. We're on Twitter.
Shout out to Elon.
Yes, I'm at Madison Miller. Sorry, you guys. At Pan and Unicorn. I'm so used to my intros and everything. But no, make sure you guys follow us on all socials. It's Pan and Unicorn everywhere. And also make sure you are signing up for the newsletter. It's linked down below for weekly giveaways. And it also will give you notifications for every episode because we cannot depend on YouTube.
The more viewers we get, which it keeps adding up, and the more you guys are buying merch and all that, which is awesome, the giveaways will keep getting better.
Yeah.
You can't get the giveaways if you're not signed up for the newsletter. So make sure you do that. We're doing giveaways every week.
Yes.
And I'm going to do a weekly shout out to all the men. Men, boys, we know you're listening. We got the analytics. I need more men in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Need more men in the comments. I can't be here all alone. Come on. Help me out over here.
We'll bring in the boys.
All right. So every episode in the very beginning, we send some love.
Yeah.
Make sure you grab your phone, send a text. It can be to your parents, to your sister, your brother, your cousins, your friends, your coaches, your kids, whoever. Let them know how much you love them and appreciate them.
So I just sent some love to my brother, and also to his wife too, because she's been really sick. She had pneumonia, and I think she was just in the urgent care getting her lungs x-rayed again. So I'm hoping that she's doing okay. So my mom was updating me a little bit, and I believe it was like yesterday or so, and I haven't got an update in a while. So I sent some love to him to see how the fam was doing, how the boys were doing. He's got 2 cute little boys, Hunter and Bryson. They're 2 and 3. They're Irish twins. And yeah, they're adorable. So who did you send some love to?
Our boy, David Marcus.
Oh, yeah,
who
David.
we're going to see hopefully in Florida
Oh, we
around
are?
New Year's time.
Oh, sweet. Nice. Okay, cool.
So, yeah, he's one of my good buddies. Met him in high school out here in San Diego, and we've been friends now over 20-something years. And he's going through a job transition and just checking in with him and the fam, and I'll be good to catch up.
Nice. Very good, babe. I love our Send Some Love. It really helps us reach out to friends or family that we haven't talked to in a while. So
For sure.
Make sure you are constantly sending some love, you guys. Make it like a little routine every morning. I think like we all grab our phones in the morning.
Yeah, send some love.
First time you wake up, grab send some love. You do it with me when you're not with me, which is really sweet. But anyways, recapping
Last
episode, it was all about blending families, the struggles of blending families, and what our experience was going through it. It was something that I really wish I had before us blending. Like, I tried looking everywhere.
She wishes she had advice.
I wish I had advice, or like people sharing their experiences. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
And I told you that I would send you articles of what I would find. It was hard. So I think it was a really helpful episode. We really enjoyed it, and I think you guys would really enjoy it. If you have not seen it yet, it's linked down below. But that was episode
And thank you
7.
to everyone for all your comments and all your stories that you guys contributed. Again, reiterating, the Relationship Podcast is a community. We're building this community. We're worldwide in the Facebook group. We got people from literally all over the world, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so we really want to make sure that it's not just us. We're not the experts. We're sharing our experiences. We're going to do that again this episode, but we really want to hear your stories and your experience and give Madison and I advice, which gives everybody that's watching advice.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as people are watching this, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, people can read the comments and watch the episode and learn something.
Exactly. It's helpful. So we really appreciate it when you guys share, because especially if you've already been through it and we're just now going through, we love to hear from you guys. But today's episode is one that's a little bit more seasonal. And I thought this would be a really good one to touch on because last year was very hard, as I've shared in the prior episodes and on my social media. And we're coming up to this season, the holiday season, you guys. Basically, we're going to be talking all about how to survive the holidays after divorce, because boy, do they look very differently. They look so different than they did, prior to divorce, obviously. And we're just going to share our experiences, what we kind of went through with it, and how we came up with schedules and all that.
Yeah, and we don't want to make it all sad. So happy holidays to everybody,
Yes,
and hope you guys are having an amazing time. But it is something to think about, for the fathers and mothers who don't have their kids, during the holiday time, because they're with their ex, and how difficult that is, and hard that is, especially in the first, year, 2, 3 years you're doing it, and then kind of understanding the schedules. And so if you're not divorced, you've never been divorced, but you have friends or family that have, hopefully this will be educational for you guys as well as to what your friends and family are going through, and kind of the empathy that you can have for them.
Exactly. Because I feel like this is not only hard on a person going through divorce, but it's also hard on the family.
The whole family, for
sure. The
sure.
whole family. It's like, the grandmas, the grandpas that are used to seeing the kids for the holiday times, and they're not going to. So it's just, hopefully this will be really helpful for everyone.
Yeah, and for anybody that has holiday traditions that they've grown up with, they're with their sisters, brothers, parents, grandparents, cousins, and when a divorce happens anywhere within the family, it changes for everybody.
Yeah, it does.
And so it affects the whole family.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to talk, maybe some of the family's happy that the ex is no longer attending the holidays, but it is tough for everybody. And so we're going to do a whole episode on kind of holidays and divorce, and hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Yeah. So one thing that when you are going through divorce is you decide in your MSA agreement about a holiday schedule, or the schedule throughout the years with all the holidays. It's not just, the end of the year holidays. So babe, I have a question. How did you guys decide your holiday schedule in your MSA agreement?
So yeah, like Madison's saying, when I was going through divorce, I never knew about this. I didn't know. I guess you think about okay, well, who's going to get the kids when? You think more about the weekly grind of the schedule. And then you start looking at it and you're like, oh, we've got summer breaks, you've got Father's Day, you've got Mother's Day, you've got
4th of July.
4th of July. And then for some families, 4th of July is a really big holiday, and they do something special every year. And then you get into Thanksgiving, then you get into, Christmas break, then you have fall break or ski week for some people, and then you have spring break. And so you start realizing, oh, wait a second, we need to figure this out. And so the traditional sense, I believe, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is you can take all these holidays and you can literally do even and odd years. And so in an even year for July 4th, they go with Ross. And then an odd year for July 4th, they go with his ex. And you can do it that way. But you're also allowed to sit down with your ex and communicate it out. And so for me, my ex, first off, for me, my birthday is November 27th. So just had a birthday. And
happy birthday, babe.
As
how old did you turn?
41.
Everyone, we never remember how you were asking everyone how old do you think I am?
How old do you guys think I was? Younger, older?
Yeah.
everyone's gonna be like, 41. Sounds about right. He seems 41.
Well, there was one person that looked up your LinkedIn.
Yeah. So as a child, as a kid, I have a lot of cousins. I'm very close with my family. If you guys have heard other episodes, Madison's talked about my family. So every Thanksgiving from kind of 1 to, I'd say, through college, was at my mom's house. And that was her holiday. And all the aunts, all the cousins and friends came to my house. And as a little kid, we also celebrated my birthday. So we did the Thanksgiving, and then we actually would do like a birthday cake, and I'd open up some birthday presents, and we'd do both. And so I think, I didn't think about it in college or as a kid growing up, but whoever I married was kind of marrying into this Thanksgiving tradition. And then as it turned out that my ex is from Mexico, and they don't do Thanksgiving in Mexico. So she doesn't care about Thanksgiving. She never did Thanksgiving. There's no tradition there. So it kind of made it easy in a way for me. So when we went to do the schedule, she was like, I know Thanksgiving is important to your mom and you can have the kids for Thanksgiving, which was nice of her. And so that's, kind of how we did it. And then when we looked at Christmas break, we said, it's 2 weeks. Why don't we do a week with mom and a week with dad and split it up? Doesn't mean you have to do it that way. I don't know if people do it that way or don't. What are you guys doing out there? For all the people that are listening, how have you guys done it? But that's what we decided. So for holidays last year and holidays, this year, that's what we're doing. What did you guys decide?
So for me, with my holiday schedule with my ex is where we basically, it's the even and odd years where, what always stays the same is birthdays. So when it's my birthday, I have the girls. When it's his birthday, he has the girls, but he wasn't here. It's with his schedule, like honestly, majority of the time during the year, the holidays, they tend to end up with me because he's usually traveling. But it's usually every other holiday. It's like even years, I'll get 4th of July type of thing. But what we did for Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we do celebrate Christmas and everything. So we have it to where this year he had the girls for Thanksgiving. I have them for Christmas and he has them for New Year's. So we kind of just go flip flop with that. So then next year I will have them for Thanksgiving. He'll have them for Christmas and so forth. But
and then you'll have them for New Year's?
And then I'll have them for New Year's. So that's how that will work out. This is definitely like where it's always room to change. It's like one thing that I could hope for in the future is because with my family always did a big Thanksgiving, but where it worked out really well for us beforehand was his aunt and uncle was always the one that did the traditions and stuff. So they did Thanksgiving at their house, and their house is 10 minutes from my parents. So it was super easy where we would go there in the morning, hang out with all his family, and then we would leave from there, just drive down the street to my parents' house, and then we'd be with my parents for the rest of the day. So it made Thanksgiving very easy because we all live so close together. And then Christmas was easy because his family never did anything. Like his family didn't really have any of their own traditions. So it was always my family. So we were always with my family for Christmas time. So it's going to be really hard next year. And I hope that maybe like, in the future, maybe things could change to where even like he has them kind of like how your situation, he has them for Thanksgiving. I always have them for Christmas because we do so much for Christmas and my family goes all out. And I know in my like experience is with my brother, because my brother is actually a half brother. My mom was divorced. And so my brother came from her first marriage, and he actually, first they started switching off, but then as my brother got a little older, he was like, I just want to be with mom on Christmas. And so they both respected what he wanted. And so Christopher spent every Christmas with us. And that was just like our like tradition.
And I think this kind of goes back to the last episode too. We talked about blending families and holidays and traditions. It's part of re-getting out there, re-dating, re-girlfriending, re-boyfriending, which is you're bringing your, now, we kind of say like, if I marry Madison, I marry her family. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, I also marry her holiday traditions. And she's marrying, me for good, bad, and ugly, and my holiday traditions. And one thing to look at it is, you can look at it in the negative of like, oh, well, how do we figure this out? We're fighting over this and make it work. The other way is like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, she gets to see how we do things differently in my family. I get to see how she does things differently in her family.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of embrace it and be like, okay, this is cool. I didn't have this with my family. And so I think as a couple, especially for the younger people, as you're in college, you're out of college, you're starting to date, even in high school, you start to pay attention. Pay attention to like how everyone does their traditions differently. And like I said, like,
and also like different religions too.
Different
like,
religions?
this is going to be your first Christmas.
My
with
first
us.
Christmas?
Like, he gets to deal. You guys have I've shown it in Vlogmas in the past of all the stuff that we do. We bake cookies. We all get in our cars. We do a little caravan. We have everyone on the speakerphone, and we drive to all the neighborhoods to see all the cool lights. And we're all following each other, and we have all the families,
which is awesome. And
so
even
you get to enjoy all that with us this year,
right? And even like last year, we did the same thing with our kids.
Yeah.
Over in Del Mar, the fairgrounds, they had this. Have you done that?
Yeah, we did.
They have
that
like the
last
whole
year.
light show,
Yeah.
and they have sell food and So
Yeah.
my kids loved it. But the point being that it is something to think about. And again, some families like July 4th. It's like family weekend, we all go somewhere, or it's whatever Labor Day weekend. We every year in the summer we go Labor Day. So it's something to like really think about as you go through it, and kind of how the holidays work, and learning these new traditions, respecting these new traditions. We did Christmas pictures in our pajamas, and everyone made fun of me for it. And I thought it was fun. It was funny.
Well, that's what I do like every year, usually with the girls, and we did it this year together. And then
Madison got embarrassed and didn't tell the photographer that I was her boyfriend,
you guys,
not her husband.
Well, because I've been going to this photographer for so long, but my ex was never really there for any of the pictures because he was always out of town, so she didn't know who I was with.
So I literally take these holiday pictures with Madison, and we're at this lady's like house. It's all set up and everything, and then she keeps telling me like, "Oh, you guys make beautiful kids, and like you guys should have a third." And I'm like, Madison, do you want to tell them that like I'm not your husband? These aren't my kids, and she got too embarrassed.
I got so embarrassed, you guys. I just kind of like, oh.
So anyway, scheduling.
You love it when I'm uncomfortable.
I do love it when Madison's uncomfortable.
Yeah, with the schedule. So honestly, like you can set out your schedule in your MSA, but just know that it most likely is going to change. And then also the kids, as they get older, they can voice, what they want, and it's your decision if you want to go off of what they want. And we'll see. It's going to change for us in the future. I mean, who knows?
So let's talk about last year.
Yeah.
Last year, Madison and I were not dating. And we did Thanksgiving and, Christmas break without each other, without anything. And it's interesting to kind of look back on like what I did last year to what I did now. I was texting her.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to, make my moves, try to like get in, like work my way in with her.
Yeah.
But so what did you do last year? Like Thanksgiving, Christmas, your first one without him?
Holy crap. Yeah. It was hard. It was so hard. I think what was the hardest part was sharing the girls. It wasn't not having my ex, because I'm used to that on holidays. But all right. So anyway, so basically what we did was he had them for a couple of days because his parents came into town. And he had them for like 2 days, and then it was Christmas Eve, and then he dropped them off at my house on Christmas Eve night, and then I had them for Christmas Day. And I remember I was actually telling him, like, I invited him over for Christmas because it was Kinsley's first Christmas, and I thought it would be really nice. I always do videos and everything of it, and you guys have seen that on the channel. I told him, I asked him, I go, do you, you're more than welcome to come Christmas morning to spend it with me and the girls and opening up the presents, and he didn't show up. So I just remember that was really hard. It was really hard to have Christmas morning, just me and the girls. So that first holiday season is very hard. I'm going to warn any parent going through it. It's tough, and it's just going to be tough. So that was really hard. But what made it a lot better was through the day, we went over to my family's house because we go over there about 10 o'clock because we always do brunch. So we do brunch first, and then we open up we all set up chairs. We put all the gifts in a pile, and then we all open up presents together. And that made it a lot better and made it a lot easier. But doing the morning time for my Christmas morning with the girls, that was not easy. And then we had COVID. So that was, we didn't know we had COVID, but yeah, that was rough. So that was a really, really hard time. How was your first holiday season?
So last year, I went to Mexico for Thanksgiving with my parents, my sister and the kids, and just me and the kids. And so that was my first like holiday trip, just me and the kids with my family.
When me now doing it with him, I was just like, I literally looked at him a few times on that trip, you guys, and was like, how did you survive this? Like, how in the world did you do this on your own?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing the single dad thing,
Yeah.
getting to the airport, flying internationally, going through all this stuff during COVID with my two kids who, they did fine. It's any kid. They're not the easiest. They're not the hardest. It's fine.
Yeah, it's
but,
a long day.
It's a long day. And as all the single parents know, it's just like, one needs to go to the bathroom. You got to bring the other one. One wants food. You got to bring the other one. It's just, and as they're younger, every year they get older, it's a little easier. So, it was interesting, and it was my birthday. I was turning 40, and it was kind of like a tougher time, still dating, kind of figuring things out, tough on the kids. I think the first trip for the kids, like, why isn't mom here? Like, they never did a trip with just me without mom. So I think last year
it's going to take them some time.
That was real difficult. And then she took the kids to Mexico Christmas with her family, and then she flew them to Florida, dropped them off, and last year she even stayed the night at my parents' house, and then went to the airport the next day. And it was awkward and kind of weird with her being there. It's like post-divorce, that's, for everyone listening, if you haven't gone through it or you have friends and family, it's like those first year for sure, and probably the first 2 years, you're just figuring out kind of the boundaries and the balance between like having a good relationship with your ex and like you inviting him over to come Christmas morning, him not showing up, or me inviting her to come and spend the night at my parents' house when I'm not there anymore. We're not officially divorced, but I'd moved out. We'd filed all the papers and stuff, dropping off the kids, and like her doing it with, Mexico with her family. And then it's probably awkward for her and hard. She's not staying, like normally she'd be there and stay. And like all the traditions and stuff that we do as a family. So I think that was hard.
That's hard. Yeah.
And so,
you
this
feel like almost like you're like cut out.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's awkward, and everyone's moving on, and it's like, what do you say? And my parents have tried really, really hard to have a good relationship with her, because they think that's what's best for their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And so balancing that is tough. And so for this year, we did Thanksgiving, and Madison came.
Yes.
So it was the first time Madison ever come on a trip with my family, my kids, and it went amazing.
Yeah.
Kids had a great time.
It's the first time I ever like spent the night with your kids too.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's part of like kind of climbing the mountain,
Doing the
right? Is like
bedtime
doing the
routine.
bedtime
Me
routines.
learning like what is their routine. They love their books at night.
Yeah.
And they enjoyed me reading to them.
Yeah.
Because I'm a little bit more fun than you are.
Madison bring out the school teacher reading voice, her actress voice.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then this year, my ex is taking them to Mexico again. I'm gonna do Christmas with your family, and then she's gonna bring them to Florida again, and then she's gonna leave the same day.
Yeah. I have a question. Like, it's also, what's really hard is we're talking about from our perspective of doing like the holidays together, but also how is it like for you to see your ex with someone else doing the holidays with your kids without you? Like, how does that feel? That's hard.
Yeah, personally, it's okay for me, but I do think for most people it would be really difficult. And I think it's more feeling for the kids, right? Like they had a normal, that normal went away. That's so hard for them. Like you said, like this year, on the actual days of Hanukkah, I won't be with them. We're going to do Hanukkah in Florida. Madison's going to do her first Hanukkah,
Yes.
lighting the menorah, giving out gifts one day.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, I think anything is just for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Like ultimately, my kids are in general like extremely fortunate or spoiled, whichever word you want to use. You know, they get to go to Mexico and they go to Mexico and they get to go to Florida. They have family all over. They have cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents in Mexico. And
Your holiday times are pretty hectic with the fact that you guys always have to travel to see family. Like you have no family that actually
no family lives in San Diego.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of travel for the kids. And
which is very different than my experience.
It's a lot of, you know, but, you know, I think ultimately last year I would say a couple things. I think Thanksgiving and my birthday with no girlfriend, no wife, no significant other, being alone with just my kids, it was fine, but it made me think like this is lonely.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be doing these things alone.
Yeah.
And so this year was great. You were there, and now you're coming again to Florida. And I think ultimately, I would use lonely as the word for people out there. When you don't have your kids, it's really lonely. And then if you're used to having a boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other and you don't have one, that's lonely. Specifically last year at New Year's, you know, we went with my cousins and and my sister, and it's like all my cousins are there with their wives. My sister's there with her husband, and then everyone has kids. And so there's everyone there as a couple.
Yeah.
And then there's me with my kids and I'm alone.
Yeah.
And it's like New Year's and there's fireworks. And it's like first time, I don't know, in however many years I'm single on New Year's. And it's just like that feeling of, I was okay with it. Like understandably, like I still wasn't even divorced. I just moved out, 6 months ago. But it was a feeling of like, hopefully next year, eventually I'll have someone there with me to share this with me that I'll be with, and I won't
That
be as
feeling
lonely.
really sucks because I've had that feeling by myself over the last like 10 years because my ex always did travel a ton on holidays too. Like we didn't have Easter and all that, and it sucks. It sucks seeing your family, like your siblings and stuff with their families and their significant others, and you're always the one by yourself with just the kids or just by yourself. I go, that's really, really hard. It's really lonely. So
And I think it's, for the audience out there listening, it's a good thing to just think, if you have friends or you have family and they have recently gone through a breakup, doesn't even have to be a divorce, and just be a breakup.
Or even like honestly, there's people that are in marriages where their significant others who travel or someone who's in the military and they don't have them too. Is like it works like it's
I thought you were gonna go to death, which is like, people have lost significant others and there's death in the family recently and they're alone and they're with the kids. It's about reaching out to them, let them know you're thinking about them during the holidays. They're probably, experiencing some loneliness and something new, something different. And again, we're all about sending love. I think that's something, if you're listening to this episode, really think in your brain, like, is there anybody you know personally that's going to be alone on the holiday season, either just with their kids, without anybody, or with no kids, alone, gone through a recent breakup? Send them love. Send a few people love. They'll appreciate it.
Exactly. And so like talking about like, what we're doing this year and stuff, like we also have to start looking in. This is where Samantha gave an amazing bit of advice in the episode where we interviewed
Episode
her.
6.
Episode 6. And Samantha March, you guys, she's awesome. But she gave a really good advice. She goes, when you're dating someone, she goes, my best advice that I would give to someone right now is if you're dating someone, don't just look at what's right now, but look at what your life would be 5 years down the line. And this is where we have to look at our relationship. Where do we see our relationship 5 years, 10 years down the line, ideally moving forward with holidays? Because this is going to be a new thing for us because I'm used to having my significant other didn't really have many holidays with his family or traditions with his family. And then also when we did do stuff, they were like, no more than 2 hours away. So everyone was really close with each other. So we never had to travel. We was never traveling. And you travel for every holiday because you don't get to see, you get to see your family, what, like 4 to 6 times a year, if that. And, you know, I have to say, like, now seeing his situation, I'm like, oh, I really took for granted just that my parents were down the street from me. So yeah, we have to really look at what our situation would be down the line. What's an ideal situation for us? What
Yeah.
kind of works for everyone?
And, you know, as you're looking at holiday time and you're looking at families, you know, something that is really difficult. I think it's difficult for parents, grandparents, like the aunts and uncles that are used to having like a familiar thing. You know, luckily my parents are super cool. My sister's super cool. And she said to me over Thanksgiving, like, hey, we get it. Like if Madison needs to do Thanksgiving with her family, you know, and her girls, sometimes like we can all come to California, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's
because
really nice.
a lot of people wouldn't say that.
No.
And so, you know, as we're looking at it and we're blending families and we're looking at holidays, it's like, okay, we could have 4 kids that need to travel. They're young.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that? And how do we make our parents happy?
Yeah.
Which is impossible.
Because we don't want them to miss out on times either, you know?
Yeah, with their grandkids.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out, okay, what are we doing Thanksgiving in the future? What are we doing Christmas in the future? What are we doing New Year's in the future? And how are we juggling, you know, if there's other holidays, Father's Days, Mother's Days, just how do you juggle all of those with 4 kids versus 2 versus trying to make your parents happy, trying to make my parents happy, your sister, my sister. Like it's just, it's not easy, but we will do our best, and we're doing our best we can this year. Her kids did not come to Mexico. Her kids are not coming to Florida, but hopefully in the future they can travel with us and vice versa. My family can come here, and obviously we'll keep you guys posted. But for anybody that's watching, let us know. We need advice.
Yes.
How are you handling the holidays, blending families, post-divorce, post-breakup?
Yeah.
You know, what have you done as parents? What have you done as sisters? What have you done as friends?
I know, because we need it. I mean, it's just all learning curve. It's just going to be trial and error and just kind of seeing, okay. And plus, I feel like every year is going to be different because of the way that our schedules do lie. And it's just kind of everyone kind of has to be flexible to it.
It's hard.
Which is hard because it's not just us going through it.
Right.
It's not just the kids going through it, but it's also our families, like our immediate families are going through it.
What advice do you have for people? We kind of talked on the MSA and dividing it up. And what advice do you have kind of setting things up with an ex? And then as far as blending families, what advice do you have for people?
So my advice for basically setting up your MSA schedule is to really look at what your traditions are for every holiday. Like how Ross said, how his family always mainly did Thanksgiving. It wasn't that big of a thing to his ex. So therefore that schedule really worked out for him. So it's kind of like really evaluating, okay, what is each parent's family's traditions like around the holidays times? And if you guys both do like both families love doing big traditions, and that's where the every other year kind of really helps you out. And then also just, you know, if you have kids that are older that can voice their opinions and really say where, you know, like also giving them a kind of a little bit of a choice in it too. But just finding a balance that works for everyone. I think that's like the best thing. But if you just wanted to go right off the bat, if things are kind of tense, then every other year is definitely, I think, is the best choice in that. All right, so babe, I have a question. What's your advice for people forming a schedule for the holiday season?
So a couple of things on the MSA, which is it can change. So you don't have to just know that as you're breaking up or you're, you know, getting, you know, divorced, you can figure things out. Give yourself that flexibility, take your time, see how it goes the first year, the second year, nothing's set in stone. You know, one thing is my ex likes to go ski snowboarding. So she wanted fall break, not spring break, because ski week is earlier. So it's better for snow. And so I said, you can have that if you want to take the kids to the mountains. And then spring breaks later. It's like April. So it's not necessarily great for skiing, snowboarding, depending on the season. So that's when I get the kids. So I think it's good to just kind of hopefully you
And
can.
well, your kids now are going to be on the same schedule. Last year they were on a different schedule.
Because they went different schools. Now they
Yeah,
go to
and
the
then
same school.
Maxie, she had like a 2-week spring break.
Yeah, it
it
was
wasn't even
crazy.
just 1 week.
So I would say on the MSA, just know, like, whatever you're trying to do with your ex, like, try it out for a year or two, see what's working. Hopefully you guys can come to a compromise and kind of work the schedule, and then let your kids know.
Yeah.
You know, be real transparent with like how things that you've worked out with your ex. Like, here's what's going to happen. Because, you know, confusing for the kids. Where am I going? When am I going? Who am I going with? And you can start those new traditions again. That'll help them have less anxiety. Because they're hearing at school that, you know, spring break's coming up, or, you know, Thanksgiving's coming up, or Christmas break's coming up. Like, they're hearing these things all the time. It's good if they know what their schedule is and what's going to be happening. And then, you know, the other thing I would say, like, most importantly, is with the girlfriend boyfriend situation is, you know, I knew like right away that Christmas Day was like really important to Madison. And so I think it's good, and Thanksgiving's important, but not as important. Like, and so I think it's good to just really get that out there. Like, for some people, birthdays is like really big deal. For other people, it's not. And so I think it's important to kind of have those conversations. If there's any other special things throughout the year, traditions, like I said, there could be a Labor Day, it could be a July 4th, it could be a Father's Day, it could be a Mother's Day, that they have a tradition that they do. Respect it. Do everything you can in your schedule to make it work. So just like you're trying to like compromise with your ex, compromise with your new boyfriend and girlfriend and try to make the schedules work.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And, you know, so that I think that's something that's, I would say, is my advice for kind of like blending the families. And then at the same thing, like, first couple years, take it slow, try things out, figure it out.
Honestly, in time, we're going to come up with new traditions with each other, too. Like, that's another thing that's, like, even when you just get married, like, even if you've never been divorced and you're getting married for the first time, you kind of just form new traditions as well. And, like, honestly, what we're talking about right now with the holidays and having a split time between families, that's something that you go through every new marriage. Right. Because it's always families fighting for time, especially when you get the grandbabies. Yeah. So again, happy holidays to everybody out there that's listening. We appreciate you guys so much. I think Madison and I are really big on family. Yeah. You know, luckily, thank God, you know, her parents are still with us. My parents are still with us. We've got sisters, we've got brothers, we've got cousins, we've got tons of family that love us and support us. And we get to spend a lot of time with them. And we feel very lucky and very fortunate. And so hopefully all of you guys out there, you know, have some family and friends that you guys get to spend the time with. And again, just to reiterate, send some love to some people that have gone through recent breakups or have lost someone, or, you know, because they will be lonely, and think about them throughout the holidays. And, you know, we'll be on social media kind of updating all of you guys, and hopefully you guys update us. And then most importantly, we're new to all this. So give us your advice. Get in the comments, get on social media. Let us know your experiences.
Yeah, give us, you know, anything we can do to help holiday season a little bit better for everybody. We're trying to figure it out. Yeah.
So thank you guys. Can't wait to hear about your experiences, your advice. Thank you so much for tuning in with us again for episode 8. We love you. We hope you guys all have a wonderful holiday season. If you are going through divorce right now, our hearts, our prayers are with you. We know it's tough right now. We love you. Hang in there. It gets better, but just hang in there. I know it's tough no matter what, your first holiday season after divorce, but you know that you have a lot of supporters here for you. And yeah, we will see you guys for episode 9 next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Yeah, my crew. We alley-oop, yeah, alley-oop, yeah. 'Cause we do what we do. We alley-oop, yeah, alley-oop, yeah. Hey, running, hold the line.